here with Mark Powell. How excited are you guys to be back and participating in spring football, and just what's the mood been with the team?
We're really excited. The guys have been flying around, practicing really hard, and a lot of really great position battles this spring. And it's always great to be back out on the blue.
This is a good time for you guys to also develop chemistry on and off the field. How important do you think it is for your players to bond and develop during this time?
Everything's so important when it comes to that. That's what your culture, that's what your team's all about. And our program mantra is fast, and that's family always stays together. So we gotta, we're building that right now. We're in the second quarter, of our year right now. That's how I look at it, and I call this the growth phase. And we got to become comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's building a culture, that's building chemistry, and understanding. We got to have each other's backs.
You guys are no longer the new kids on the block in the NEC. How good does it feel to be in year two, and just what's the biggest difference being in year two compared to a year ago right now?
Yeah, just understanding who we're playing, when we're doing it, and how we're going to do it is so important to us to be able to plan accordingly. And we're really excited and really appreciate the NEC for welcoming us in as a full-time member. And it's going to be a lot of battles this fall.
On early signing day, you guys announced four new players, and then on National Signing Day, I think it was like 36 new players, something like that.
Yeah.
Just how excited are you about this year's incoming class and all the new players?
Yeah, we're really excited. I think we did a really good job in the portal. We hit on some wide receivers, O-line, D-line, running backs. We did a really good job in the portal, but we really emphasized going to get high school kids. We think that we can go get some really great talented players right now, and we signed some really high rated kids that are great fits for this place.
Talk about bringing a guy like AJ back on the offense and a guy like Brody on the defense. Experienced guys, productive leaders. Talk about just their impact and what you expect for them this upcoming season.
Yeah, having them back again is so huge, just because they've gone through it and they know what the expectations are, and understanding. We made the transition from D2 to D1 last year. Everybody was trying to figure it all out. Now it's where the standard is the standard at where we are at, and both those guys have played Division I football last year and years prior to that, so they help us just continue to build that standard of how you have to operate. You got to act like a pro. If not, you're not going to last 12 games all Division I.
What are some things you like from your guys this spring session?
Really just the competitions. I think they're playing really hard. I think that they're picking each other up. We have that play the next snap mentality right now that we have to build on that. And that's one thing that we looked at, as a staff in the offseason, is just play the next down. Like, you can't fix what just happened, and you can't celebrate it too much. You got to keep a level head. And I think our guys have done a way better job of that this spring, of just continuing to build off what happened, fix and correct, but also look forward to what's coming down the pipe.
You guys had your draft last night for the spring game a week from today. Talk about that and just how excited you guys are to play that game a week from today.
Yes, we're really excited. All are welcome to come out. April 18th, 3:30 kick. President Frederickson's team versus Devin Crosby, our athletic director's team. And we had the draft last night. The guys were all texting me last night after it, and we're on the field asking me, hey, whose team are we on? So the guys are excited about it, and we're really excited to have those guys lead both teams. And we want all of our alumni, all the fans, to come out next weekend, and it's going to be a party on the blue.
You have those guys partake in the draft. I know you guys do a lot of community events off the field. Can you talk about how much of an emphasis you put on, your guys getting involved in community things and just having them learn the importance of that?
Yeah, it's so important. I think that, it's kind of it gets lost a little bit now in college football, of the community outreach. We want to build great men. We want them to be great dads, great husbands someday. And, you got to be able to give back to the community. If we want them to come out and support us, we have to go support them. And, we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to go do that. And I think our guys are up to almost like 1,700 hours of community service combined as a team. And that's a big piece of what we want to do, because we want the community to come out and support us. And, we have a buy-in from our entire, university, from the campus, of we all want to help everybody and be able to help each other. And we got to extend that into the community.
You guys had a junior day with a bunch of, hopefully future Chargers
Yeah.
here. Just talk about that and being able to put on have them here.
Yeah, the junior days have been great. This is our third one. We're averaging over 75 recruits, each Saturday right now, which is awesome. There's a lot of excitement around not just the football program, but the university as a whole of what we're doing. We're going against the grain a little bit, and we're growing, we're expanding, we're doing a lot of really exciting things, and people want to come and see what's going on here, and we're really fortunate to have these guys come out and see what we're all about.
it's a nice day out. It's chilly. Kind of feels like a football day.
There's no doubt. It's always like a fall day.
Yeah, just how excited. I mean, obviously you got the spring game coming
Yeah.
up in summer sessions, but how excited are you like each day with it being closer to the fall season?
Yeah, excited. Our guys are really, they continue to, I try to keep them where their feet are, but, they're really excited about, getting back for summer and then understanding, you got to go through the process of it all, but they know what's coming down the pipe in the fall. And, we got to step up tremendously with the schedule that we have.